I wholeheartedly believe that because it's logic. It's not even so much that it's a catchy phrase.
Hmm.
It's logic. Think about that. Think about your soul. Think about who you are and why you're here. And yes, some of us have been dealt different hands, but we can't help that. But what we can do
So
is not
we
we had experienced all of that fast adult stuff really, really early in our lives. And, it's like I got all of that out of my system. Like I really genuinely wanted to help people and help other dancers. The way that dance had helped me, it was just figuring out how to do that. And it's like, yeah, you can teach classes till you blue in the face, but I do a little bit more than that. I'm really tapping into people's spirits, their souls, and really tapping into their brains, trying to get them to be able to do the things that that I know how to do. It's just finding that endpoint and that endpoint, and finding the in between to get them to it, and that takes a lot because everybody learns and processes differently. Try to do
yeah.
my best, to evolve these disabilities and just evolve past all these titles and these different things, that these labels that make people look at people differently or treat people differently, because I've learned that, man.
All right, welcome everybody to the sound. For those of you who are new to our channel, I'm Donna, and I'm so glad that you've joined us today. So excited, as usual, to bring on a really, from what I see, a really amazing man who has a mission now that he is fulfilling in this earth, and he is making a great impact. We have Anthony Solo Harris with us today. Before we do that, don't forget to hit the thumbs up, that like button, subscribe, comment, share. Please get the word out to others. Let's move these interviews up in the algorithms. Our whole purpose really with the sound is to be able to bring people to you who are making a sound in the earth. And pretty much, you know, they're stars in our eyes, really. They're in our either local communities or regional. Um, they're not big Hollywood stars at this point, but they are making a great impact in the earth, and they're making their sound, and everybody has a sound to make. So I want to encourage you. I'm sure that Anthony is going to encourage you today with the things that he's doing and the things that he's going to say. And yeah, so let's get this out to other people. So Anthony, welcome to the sound. So excited to have you. I've been I've been following you on Facebook, and because we have similar backgrounds, I'm a dancer, I was a performer, I had a performing arts school, all that stuff that goes with it, being a artist management and things like that. Um, but the thing that really got my eye in watching you is that you have this program that you are doing with, I would say it's children through adults,
Yes, it
right?
is. Mhm.
With that are special needs.
Yes.
And you are doing an amazing job with them. And we talked a little bit before we pushed record, and I was just saying how, we both were saying how these times working with special needs people are just some of the best times we've had in our lives and the best memories we've had. And yes, we made an impact on them, but I see that they really made an impact on me. They
Most
taught me
definitely.
so much. So let's talk about, so you have, your studio is Solo Expression Studio,
Yes.
and you also own the Dance Mogul magazine.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So maybe we could talk about that a little bit later. So
Sure.
tell us a little bit about you. How did you get started doing that?
Okay, sure, no problem. I started dancing when I was 13, as a way to combat the, I don't want to say negative energy. It was just energy that was misguided, or just didn't, I didn't have a grasp on that type of energy, or just myself at the time. So, dance helped me discover, who I was and what my potential was at a young age, and it allowed me, to be able to get through school and certain social environments and make friends and things like that. So dance was that type of healing slash connecting piece for me to define who I was as a teenager and going into young adulthood. And also during that process, I linked up with five other young men, and we were able to form a dance group. And within that dance group, we experienced so much so fast. Between 18 to 21, we started dancing professionally together. And that experience, it pretty much prepared me for what is going on right now. We were on TV, we were on tour. We learned about entrepreneurship, and we learned about the dance industry. We just learned how things worked, as far as that, what worked for us and what didn't, just as six young men from Newark, New Jersey. So that experience really was the start. I've always been around dance. My father was a dancer. He mentored other young dancers in the community of Newark, New Jersey. So dance has always been a part of my life. And when it finally took hold of me, I was able to take it, and like I said, just get myself on track, as far as a young adult going into adulthood. And then after that, it was just like a long juggle, as trying to find how you can keep dancing your life, and also you still got to work your job. And then I have my daughter at a young age, at 20, 21, something like that, because she's 20 now. Oh my god. And so it was always a juggle, trying to do both. One minute I'll be teaching everywhere, then the next minute, that's not paying enough, so I gotta go back to work, and now I gotta work all these doubles and these triples,
I
you
hear
know,
you.
to make ends meet. And then, one thing I will say is that no matter how much I worked, right, doing all those doubles, all those triples, two and three jobs, no matter how good the money was and how I was looking, I still felt, empty, like something was missing. It was like, I gotta do something. I gotta teach a class. Like, I had to do something. I couldn't just throw myself away like that, because dance, it wasn't just dance per se. It was, dance is who I am. So I have to express that, and I have to get that out. And
Like,
so
just
I,
can I just
yeah,
interrupt you for a second too,
no
just to
problem.
address that. You know, I, I'm 68 years old now, and I closed my studio a number of years ago. It was the right thing to do. I did some other things in there. Um, but what you're saying is like dance, it's you hear that saying, once a dancer, always a dancer.
Hmm.
And I think it's part of it is who we are. It's part of our spirit, and
Hmm.
it's so now, and it is like what you're saying is so true. I used to tell my students that I worked with those that wanted to go on and become professional dancers, and I would say to them, okay, what you should think about is, if you can do anything else, do it. But if you cannot do anything else, then do it.
Yes.
Dance,
Yes.
because it's never going to leave you, and it doesn't. And it is amazing. Like, I see in my life how things have evolved for me, because now I'm doing similar things, working with dance with individuals who are um, overcoming trauma in
Mhm.
their lives and being restored and recovered and
Yes.
things like that. So it kind of evolves with you if you
Yes.
allow it. And but it doesn't leave your spirit, your soul. It's like you said, it's who you are. And I had to take myself and just think about not too long ago, like, okay, why do I really do what I do? Why did I want to get on stage? Because for me, again, for me, it was just like for you, it was such an important part of my development,
Hmm.
and brought me out of my shell. I was
Hmm.
so shy and sensitive when I was younger, and when I started to dance, that helped. But I also had to think about then, as I got older, not too long ago, actually, um, why am I doing what I'm doing? Because being in the whole restoration and recovery area, there are things that we do that we may not be living our true selves.
Hmm.
To really look at that and say, well, why was I really doing it? Is it because I wanted to be somebody else, or which is fine, for but anyway, it does. I just wanted to just kind of just say that I really resonated with me what you're saying there, because it really doesn't leave you. And I
Yeah.
many other dancers can
Yes.
attest to that as well. So,
Most definitely. It's a dance. It's you know your life everything for me everything is dance. Everything is motion, everything is energy. And it's a ebb flow thing. Sometimes you're leading, sometimes you're following. So, sometimes you're leading with your convictions and what you want to do and what your
yeah,
plan is, and then sometimes the universe is like, yeah, I see and I hear that, but you need to come this way. You need to take that energy and put it this way, and then you'll might see the results that you want to see. And that's what I've been doing for the longest, not even just with solo expression dance studio. I've been doing that since my early 20s, just listening to the universe, or trying to, even though I have things that I want to do and I want to accomplish. I've learned that the universe has the final say so. So you have to, pay close attention to what, actually what you're supposed to be doing, which, what sums that up is your purpose. Everything that you're saying, like what is your purpose? Because if what you're doing doesn't have a purpose, it's like, yeah, you'll start to question, well, why are you doing it? So you have to be very aware of what the actual intent and purpose is. And then, that's going to just lead you, and that's going to guide you every single day. That's going to make you do it when you don't want to do it. That's going to make you study and want to get better at what you want to do. And that's what I'm in the current process of. Like, it's always like a starting over process, and a lot of people don't like to do that, but I have to do that, especially with the individuals that I work with, because one of the things that, no matter what the diagnosis is, a lot of them have trouble retaining. So every day is like starting over, and it's like,
mm,
man, it's like that's something. But when you stick to it and you create some type of regimen and routine for them, you can start seeing that type of progress and building. And we're no different. That's what this has taught me, working with individuals with special needs. I hate all the labels. I hate disabilities, which is why I say evolving disabilities,
mhm,
which is what the purpose of solo expression is. Because once we move past labels and titles, it's just energy, and it's just people's free will, and it's just people's effort. And if people put in the effort with them, and they put in the effort, you can easily transcend whatever these doctors are telling you, or whatever your triggers and traumas are. None of these things make or break you. You have the final say so for, like, what you're doing with people's healing and learning. Like, you have the final say so if you're willing to put in the work.
yes, I so agree with you on that. And I was just going to bring this up, that you have on, I don't know, I think it was one of your posts on Facebook, your soul doesn't have disabilities.
Yeah, that's real. It's heavy. Like, it just came to me, and I actually started making shirts out of it. But like, I wholeheartedly believe that, because it's logic. It's not even so much that it's a catchy phrase.
Hmm.
It's logic. Think about that. Think about your soul. Think about who you are and why you're here. And yes, some of us have been dealt different hands, but we can't help that. But what we can do is not let those things define us. Like, it's all about how you play the hand. So if you're tapped into yourself, and it's like, yeah, I might be missing an arm. Yeah, my speech might be delayed, or even myself, I'm forgetful. Like that, and dance helps me with that all the time, because of choreography and remembering. But we all have our thing, right? We all could be special needs if you really think about it. We're all on some form of spectrum. We all have some type of quirky, weird thing about us, right? It's just a matter of you tapping into it and be like, you know what, I do recognize that about myself, and I want to get better at it. And either you need help, or you have the wherewithal within yourself, to do it. So, this is just a great process. I always tell people, if I would have knew that this is where dance was going to lead me, I would have started this so much earlier, and I would have been helping individuals way earlier, because my heart was content, by the time I was 23, with all the dancing and stuff that I was running around with the guys doing. So we had experienced all of that fast adult stuff really, really early in our lives. And, it's like I got all of that out of my system. Like, I really genuinely wanted to help people and help other dancers. The way that dance had helped me, it was just figuring out how to do that. And it's like, yeah, you can teach classes till you blue in the face, but I do a little bit more than that. I'm really tapping into people's spirits, their souls, and really tapping into their brains, trying to get them to be able to do the things that I know how to do. It's just finding that endpoint and that endpoint and finding the in between to get them to it. And that takes a lot because everybody learns and processes differently.
Yeah, that's so true. Um, so when did you start to make that transition into teaching
So
these
I've
kids?
I've been working with individuals with special needs for over a decade now. So I've always been working with them in those intimate type of ways, toileting, medication, bringing them out into the community. So I kind of always knew that there was a need for them to be able to have things to do. The state always has these mandates. Oh, you got to get them out into the community, but it's like, okay, what are they going to do? Like, they can't keep going bowling every day. So,
Mhm.
um, some of the individuals I started to work with in the past 4 years of me working with individuals with special needs, we just got, especially during COVID, we would just get up in the living room and we would play music and we would dance in the living room. And one of my coworkers was like, you could be doing a lot more with your gift. And at first I took offense to it. I'm like, what? You don't even know me. Like, I've done this, I've done that. But I had to realize real quick, I'm like, she was like, look at what you're doing. I said, you know what? You're right. And she was like, I know this place and you should go check it out and and see what's what. She didn't think I was going to check it out. She thought that I was just, because she was a older woman. So, older women or older people think that young people are, yeah, in one ear out the other. But it wasn't. I immediately called the leasing office and I went and saw it, and I saw the first thing I saw, it had a ramp. I knew that it was going to be accessible for everybody. I knew that it was the spot, and I told her, I was like, look, and I texted her a picture of the key. I said, look, I did it within a week because I knew it wasn't nothing to think about. I saw it, and long as it was accessible for everybody, that was it. All I needed was space, and that it just started from there. And then slowly but surely, I started making connections with all the different agencies and different parents and things like that. And here we are, 4 years later, over 50 plus students on the regular. And then that number doesn't even compare to all the other students I work with between PA and New Jersey. I go back and forth because I'm from New Jersey. So
Mhm.
I always want to make sure that I'm giving back to home. So
Yeah,
I go back and forth to all the different special needs schools. And, I just, try to do my best, to evolve these disabilities and just evolve past all these titles and these different things, that these labels that make people look at people differently or treat people differently. Because I've learned that, man, we ain't no different. We're all the same. We all love music. We all love to express ourselves. We all love have to like to have fun and smile. And that's what we do, every single day. So I'm truly grateful I get to do that.
that's a universal language, music and dance. So
Yes.
your studio is in Easton, correct?
So I have a partnership with a few Moravian churches, so they allow us to use their spaces weekly. And definitely shout out to Green Pond Church in Easton as well. So we have two locations in Easton. We have one in Bethlehem and one in Allentown, because I wanted to make it accessible for everybody to be able to come, because everybody's life is different, their transportation is differently. So I wanted to make it easier on the individual. So if you live in Allentown, you can come to the Allentown class. If you live in Easton, you can come to the Easton class. But all is welcome everywhere. But I know transportation is a big issue for our superstars. So I just want to make that easier. So I'm definitely grateful, and shout out to all those Moravian churches for the partnership, because they didn't have to do it, but they believed in what we were doing, and they allow us to do that and continue to allow us to do it.
Yeah. So do you have certain ages that you are working with? Does it matter?
I have five all the way up to Miss Judy. Miss Judy is 78 years old.
Oh.
Yeah, and man, you should see Miss Judy. And when they just told me her age, I'm like, what? Because she gets down in those stretches and those squats. I'm like, wait, hold up, no way. And she's up there doing it.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yes, it
I
is.
have I have another thing that you said that I was reading that I just want to read, and maybe you can add a little bit more to it. It just says so much. It says over time, The universe has detached me from people, places, and things, but the one thing that has remained is dance. I will continue to oblige. Excuse me. People come and go, but dance, your self-expression and purpose is as eternal as the universe. That kind
Man,
of touches on a little bit about what we were saying earlier. And I love how you say that it's as eternal as the universe.
yes. Never ending. Never ending. We get locked into the comfortability of people, places, and things, even the people that we love, even the people that we want to care for. And I'm very reflective, so I reflect every day, so I'm able to disattach and just look at it. And I look at all the people, that I've come across in my life, and all the different situations. And the one thing that has never left has been dance. Even in my darkest days, dance has never left. It's been the one thing that has remained constant. That energy, whether it's dance or not, meaning like the title of dance is what we call it, but the energy itself, the energy signature itself, it has never left me. So, I'm very reflective and very grateful of that. That's why I make those type of posts, because a lot of times we'll get distracted by people, places, and things. A lot of times we'll pour into people, places, and things, or we'll stay for too long, again, because of the comfortability or how it makes us feel. But in all actuality, like, we're supposed to be pouring into the atmosphere in all different types of people, places, and things. Like, you're not supposed to be in one set thing. Like, we're not built that way. We're built to be expansive. Just like look at the universe. Can you imagine if the universe never expanded for us to be here? You understand? So it's just like the universe made room for us. So we have to continue to make room for all things that are actually here for us, or things that we should be developing. We should never be, just stuck in one place. So you just got to recognize what is and what isn't for you. Take what is for you, and keep and marketing is called divergence.
Mhm.
And you keep making these different layers and adding, to it, which is what you've done. Like you said, you had the performing art studio. Now you're using, dance in a therapeutic ways. Like, it's still dance. It's just now it has a conscious to it, and it actually makes sense. It's like people can do aimless choreography over and over every single day, but if I can actually use dance um to help heal, from a trigger, from a trauma, or from a diagnosis, it's like, wow, look at that. And it also puts dance in a different perspective, because most people still view dance as a hobby or something that you do leisurely or just for fun. But dance is becoming the new therapeutic tool. Like, I've even seen, like, I think it was last year, I saw Blue Cross Blue Shield was even opening up to allowing dance to be added as something that they would pay for, medically, for people's therapy. When I saw that, I said, "Woo, there we go." You understand? Like,
Yeah,
it is that powerful. It's, dance needs to be looked at that way, because it's always been that. Even when you go back into, tribal days and different mythologies, like, people danced before they went to war, people danced after war, people danced to bring certain energy, to bring down the rain. Like, it's so much to it when you really look at what dance really can be used for. And I know these things, and I'm pretty sure other people do too, but it's just like, it's not popular. So it's like, we're looked at as the weirdos, or like, what are you talking about? But
yeah,
it's the truth, and it's been documented. So one thing I know about the truth doesn't care who tells it. It just keeps going and going and going to each generation. It keeps going and going and going.
that's right. That's right. When I first started, I actually started to do these new classes that I'm doing maybe about a year ago. And I just wanted to take what I knew as a dancer, as far as how it made me feel, to others.
Hmm.
And at that point, like, I didn't know anything about, I didn't even know what the word somatics meant. I mean, I went to school for health and phys ed. Way back then they had, it wasn't a minor, but they called it a concentration, and I had it in
Hmm.
adapted PE,
Hmm.
so, um, and like I said, I've been through all those different things in dance, but for about a year ago, and I was like, dance just makes you feel good. Like
Yes.
when no matter what you're going through, whether you want to express your sadness, you want to express joy, you just want to move, excuse me, but when you're done moving, all of a sudden you feel really good, right?
Hmm.
So I began to start delving into things, as far as neuroscience goes and getting certification in those areas and um, autism dance certification things. I did that a while ago, but so I started to like, okay, how can I do that? How can I bring this to people? Because I'm not a dance quote therapist, but I just want them to know that if you
Hmm.
just move. I mean,
Hmm.
get up and move in the way that you, but what happens is that people are so bound up. They're not free, and that's one of the things that I loved about working with special needs students is that they're free. They
Yes.
don't have those constraints and boxes that most of us put around. Oh, we worry about what people are going to think. Or,
They're not
oh, this,
jaded by society.
yeah, So they get stuck and they're like, and then I had to realize this as I started to take it out and to use it and just take it down to the very basic form of movement and being able to free people out of
Hmm.
their body, out of the prison that their body's holding them in, and
Hmm.
realize that, wait, what is this feeling that's coming up and what does it feel like? What does a movement, maybe even if I'll tell people just if you feel like just move your arm a little, move your
Yes.
foot, tap your foot, snap your fingers, whatever, to start you to get free yourself to be able to move. And so that's kind of where I took it was like that with that and with theater and just becoming in touch in tune with the emotions that we have inside of us and what's being blocked, and just to move that through. So to bring people to the understanding that dance is, yes, there's the commercial end of it. Yes, there's the going to the studio and practicing for hours and hours and hoping,
Mhm.
that you can get on Broadway or whatever, which is great. But there's a whole other thing to this.
Yeah.
It's
There's
part
a
of,
whole
like you
spiritual
said,
aspect.
yeah, it's part of who we are. Like we said earlier, we're made to move,
Yes.
right? Uh, so, so do you have, I know you have lots of great things happening, lots of memories. Do you have like one particular story that you could share with us?
I think I can, it's not a particular story. I think it's an ongoing thing that that I'm seeing within all the individuals. It's been, 4 years, and you can see the growth. You can see the growth in all of them, and they, like I said, they all have different diagnoses and different ailments. And to see some of the ailments actually um, evolve. Like it's like, oh wow, Anthony, you're not just talking it, you're living it and you're believing and they're believing, and you guys are actually seeing different progress and all these things that, the doctors and, the PT people are saying that, they need help on, or on, in some cases they're saying, oh, they'll never be able to do this and never be able to do that. But, in this dance class, they're doing it, and I'm not just saying it, for me, because one thing about my superstars, they're very social. So they go out and they do all types of things. They go do Meals on Wheels in the community and just all different types of things. So they're, and I see them on social media, they living their best life. They got better social lives than me. I'd be like, oh, y'all going out on dates and stuff too. Okay, okay, okay. I see y'all. Okay. So they're, I'm watching, just even from my perspective of looking at it, not because I'm doing it. I'm like, I'm open to like their world and see, I'm like, hold up, like this ain't what everybody has been saying and acting like all these years, or or even just putting out to the world. I'm like, ain't nothing wrong with them. You understand what I'm saying? It's just different. And I'm like, that's all. It's just different. I don't even really see the Down syndrome or the autism, whatever you want to call these things. It's like, yeah, I get it, but I'm like, I'm sitting here having a conversation. So it's like, for me, I don't care about none of that. Like if we could talk about music, or if they can tell me about their weekend, which they do, or like yesterday when we had class, oh, how was your Easter, Anthony? It's like they know, what's going on. So it's like, how could you label them? How could you, make them be different, or how can they be treated differently just because, somebody initially, said this, that, and the third when they were born. And that's fine, but people change, people evolve just like the universe. So every day that's the story. Every day, they're surprising me, and showing me different things, and just showing me more and more each day that they are just like me and everybody else, to the point where it's like, well, people say the buzzword all the time, inclusion, inclusion. It's like, okay, but why should we have to include when there's no difference
Mm.
at all? I know
Yeah.
people have different sensory, issues and things. So I get all of those things. And I completely understand those things, because I have to make accommodation for those things for students as well. But to me, those are no reason to label anybody or treat somebody differently just because they're, uh sensitive to sounds. Like even now, like I'm getting older, I'm like, I don't want to hear all that noise neither. Like it's just certain things, like just walking down the street, I'm like, I don't like hearing horns
Mhm.
honk and stuff like that. I'm like, man, shut up. So I get it.
You know what? I think sometimes, I just think, not sometimes, I really believe that everything that we're led to do, if we're really listening and following where we're supposed to be and what we're supposed to be doing, that it's mostly for us,
Hmm.
for our evolvement and our development, and the fruit of that is the blessing to other people.
Yes.
And so, like, as you're saying that, I'm just thinking about how every time I teach a class or a workshop, uh, there's I go with no real expectations except to maybe give people some tools that they can use to go home with. But
Yes.
when I come out of a workshop or a class, there is always so much more that I see. And I know that's what you're saying as well. That happens, that is happening in me, is happening in the others. And it's just such a cool thing, really. When you
Yes.
give of yourself, you know, you give of yourself, it overflows, like you said in the beginning, like you fool yourself, it overflows to others around you and to the community. And that's what you're doing. And it's that's it. That's what we have to do. And I try to encourage people too that are looking for their purpose in life, or what am I here for? What am I doing? Or I'm stuck. You know, take a look at yourself. Start to
Mm-hmm.
just sit. That is for our society, right? Sit first of all. you know and like you said, I agree with all the horns and all the traffic and stuff like that, and because we don't do that too much anymore. Sit with yourself and listen what comes out, what's inside of you, and just allow it to just happen. Just take those initial steps forward, explore what it is that you love to do, let yourself become full of the beauty that is within you, right? And around you. um oh, I could go on, but if we'll be fulfilled, right, if we're doing what we are really supposed to be doing. And I have to say too that again, that may change as you go through your years and your ages. Things will change for you. So um yeah, so do you have I mean, you're kind of like going all over the place too. Like, do you have other people that help you, or are you?
Yes. So, in PA, I have Miss Jody, Miss Jen, Miss Shanice, and Little Cheyenne, who we're training. They help me out in PA whenever I can't, be there for the classes, because I gotta run the Jersey, or I gotta teach somewhere else. Like even next month, like they're flying me out to Florida, to teach and stuff. So in Jersey, definitely Mr. Wiz and Miss Ebony. So yeah, I have people who help, most definitely, and I'm super appreciative of them, because you know uh they might not understand or recognize that every time that you do help, it's allowing me to spread the purpose and the mission, further and make it more far reaching, and hopes one day, like I always tell people, like one day I want to bring everybody, on the Eagles uh stage, like right there in the stadium, and it's like 500 individuals with special needs, and we all just there dancing. But that can only happen if I'm going to these different places and building the army. So, that's what really happens when they actually help me. So I'm super grateful that I do, have that help, because it does allow me to get to the different places and actually, keep training and keep building, because when I teach, especially within season, I teach the same things, because if there's ever going to be a time where we all come together, everybody's going to know this number and that number. So I teach everybody the same things that I've been teaching. And then when it's time for something new, I teach everybody that new thing. So everybody's always up to date and knows what's going on, whether they're in New Jersey, PA, or anywhere else that I teach. Everybody knows all the different solo expression dances.
Oh, I love that plan. I think it's a great plan. Let me know when you go to the Eagles field. I'll help you out.
That's, and
And
because
now
they have I think they have an autism foundation. I'm only using them as an example because I know that they have like their own autism foundation, or nonprofit or something like that. So I'm just like, it's just like, yeah. So when people talk about inclusion, it's like, yeah, include us in that. You understand what I'm saying? Like, dude,
yeah,
like, don't just have them come to the game and sit. Like, nah, forget that. Let's get on that field, because they can get down, they can get busy. Give them
right.
a platform to shine, to show you that this is what inclusion is. Inclusion isn't, oh, invite and bring to the back. Inclusion is put them in the front and allow everybody else to be included in that. That's what inclusion means to me.
I love
It means
that.
put them first and have everybody else, integrate in, not put them in the back. Oh yeah, they were here and great. No, 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 no. That's not how it works.
I love that. I love that. So if somebody would like to get involved in helping you, um, what do they need to do?
They just got to reach out. They got to reach out, and we got to have certain conversations. The people that have help, like I said, and you would think that I would have a lot more help, but the thing about it is, because I've actually worked in the field, you got to vet. You got to vet people. You got to actually care. You got to actually know. Like, my thing is like, if something happens, do you know CPR? If somebody has a behavior, do you know how to keep everybody safe? Do you know the certain techniques, to do certain things, de-escalations, or even if you have to subdue somebody to keep them from harming themselves or banging their head and things like that. So it's so many different things that comes with it. You have to actually care about, my superstars. It's not just, oh, well, you can dance and come in. Like, I don't need that. I don't need dancers. I need people that have a certain heart condition that actually care about people, because then that's easy. Everybody can, self-express, and if you're a good teacher, you can show other people how to self-express or to follow your own self-expression. So that's not really, rocket science, but actually caring for somebody and knowing how to care for them if something goes left or right, that's the most important. So, I'm not very quick to be like, oh yeah, come on, come on, come, let me see you. No, 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 no. I have to vet. We have to talk. You have to show me, understand, and not because you have to prove to me. It's just I don't take it lightly that people leave their loved ones with me, children or adults. Like, for you to leave your special needs individual with me, I know for some parents or some caregiver, that's a lot. Like, because the world is a cruel place. So trust me, like, I get it. So I don't take that lightly that people leave their loved ones with me or bring them to me and have me with them in these. It's not the typical dance situation where it's like, oh yeah, drop your kid off and go. Nah, it's not like that, because life hasn't been like that for them or the people that care for them. So it's a very sensitive thing. So I definitely try to take my time with who I bring around and how I bring them around.
Yeah, I was going to say that for parents, it's probably good for them to know that the people that they're leaving, their loved ones with are
Yes.
knowledgeable and they, like you said, can trust. Well, we'll be linking your information below in the
Thank
description
you.
so that people can reach out to you and I love that. Yeah, it is something that. you really do have to have a heart for. And
Yes.
so I love that you are doing that. Before we leave that topic, because I did want to talk to you just a little bit about your magazine.
Okay.
Anything that's coming up that, or things that you want us to know, the community to know about solo expressions, what's going on?
Sure. We just did our spring recital, and that was great. That was another packed show. So definitely shout out to all the parents and the families that came out to to support and to clap. You'd be surprised how far clapping for people goes for certain people. So the news came out there, and the ARC actually came out there, and they did some filming and stuff too. So it was real great. That's I don't even know what number recital that is. We know we've done so many. But I'm super grateful again, because they showed up and they showed out, and we'll be doing our next showcase in July. That one's gonna be real fun. We're gonna do a big line dancing event, so everybody's going to put on their cowboy boots and their hats, and we're going to get busy. So I'm looking forward to that. So we start, what I do, we jump right into it. Like, we start practicing every 3 months. We learning, we growing, we training, and then we produce, then we put out a show. So they always have something to look forward to. So that's what's next. So we're getting ready, for the summer, right now. I don't sugarcoat anything with them. I treat them just like I would treat any able-bodied dancer. We get right to it. We train, we get on that floor, we stretch. Like, I don't treat them. I think people always like, "Oh, what's your secret?" It's like, I don't see them any differently, so I don't treat them any differently either. Like, yeah, I know there's certain things that they can and cannot do at the moment, but that still doesn't mean I'm not gonna push them just to see, still gonna push them so they can build up, because that's what it's just like lifting weights. Like, if you can't immediately lift the heaviest weight, you don't start there. You start here. You start with the little one, and you keep growing and growing and growing. So that's what we're in the process of doing now. We're training and getting ready for the summer, and so we do that every season. We do that, and we have a showcase. And if there's anything that happens in between that, sometimes people invite us for community events and stuff like that, and if it aligns with us, we go do that. So I'm grateful every time that they get a chance to hit the stage, because I know what that did for me. That ultimately saved my life. So if I know that it can do that for me, just imagine what it could do that for people that are not, used to that, or, like you, shy, and getting on that stage and someone clapping for you and cheering for you. Like, that can change someone's whole, life, and I'm the living proof of that.
Yeah. If I'm a parent and I have a child that I would love to have be involved with what you do, but I feel like maybe my child will give me some backlash about that, or they're not. What would you say to a parent? Um,
Bring them in. And one thing about what I do is, I don't make the parents leave. I encourage the parents to stay and participate and learn the dances. Like, it's a village. Like, it's not, again, it's not the traditional dance class or dance studio. Like, no, I want the parents there, because sometimes the kids are constantly looking for their parents' validation. So I don't mind them being there. Like, they'll be dancing, and then they'll look over to see if their parents are looking. And it's like, yeah, you should be there, and you should be clapping, you should be cheering them on, or even get up and do it with. I don't personally care about those things. I'm not like, oh, people might feel like, oh, no, no parents, they can't see. They gotta sit over there, and they're like, no, no, come be a part, because if it's gonna help them and make them get their expression out, if they got to stand next to their parent to do it, I'm all for it. That just means, parents, you dancing too.
yeah.
And that's what we did at this past recital. We had like four individual numbers where they were dancing, but the audience had to dance too. So, like, we did things like YMCA and the Macarena. Everybody has to dance. Like, yeah, no, don't just come and sit. No, come and dance and have a good time and participate, because that it's an energy exchange. Again, everything is a dance. It's a give and take. Doing like this, that's a dance. That give and take, that's a dance. So everybody can dance at their own level. So I encourage the parents to just come in, and you're going to end up dancing too. That's all that means.
I love that. I really love that. It's a family affair.
Yes.
All right. Well, so just tell us a little bit about your Dance Mogul magazine. What's that all about?
Okay, so that was birth. Like I told you, when I was dancing with my dance group, professionally, Envy. You know, you get to this point where it's like, I call it like the hamster wheel, and it's like it's the same things, it's the same people over and over, and it begins to be, the same process. And what I started seeing is that dancers needed more, and I didn't know what that more was because I was in it. So I was on the hamster wheel myself. But my father, like I told you, who's also a dancer, he said, you guys, it's not about your dancing per se. He was like, you guys need a voice. You guys need a voice to let people know that who you are and what you're about outside of the audition that you didn't make. Because just because you didn't make the audition, it doesn't mean that you're not good or that you're not qualified. It just means that you weren't what they were looking for that day. And they never tell you that. They never tell you that, oh, we're looking. I mean, sometimes if it's in the casting call, like, oh, we're looking for a tall male, blonde or whatever, like they'll say certain things like that. But if you don't know those things and if they don't disclose those things, it's like you're going to the audition and you're thinking you're, the sweetest thing since ice cream. You think you should be landing all the jobs, and it just doesn't work like that. You might be actually too tall because you're taller than the actual artist. That's why you didn't make it. You didn't make it because you weren't good. It's just that you might have been too tall, you might have been too short, or you didn't have the look, whatever,
Mhm.
the look is. So my dad was like, you guys needed a voice, and he came up with the concept with the magazine. And I'm like, I hear you and that sounds great. I'm like, but I want to keep staying on this hamster wheel. But after a while, I understood what it would mean if I hopped off the hamster wheel and started helping, not only him but the other dancers to recognize, their self-worth, and which is what the purpose of the magazine was: inspiring self-empowerment. A lot of the things that you see the dancers and stuff doing today, via social media or just anything like that, we were on the brink of that. Like, in terms of me and my dance group, we were dancerpreneurs. Like, we had our own merch, we had our own clothes, we had our own website. We were doing all of this stuff before, social media even existed. So, and those are the things that propelled us for people to pay attention to us and hire us for gigs and things like that. So while that may be the norm now, that wasn't the norm then. And so we just used the magazine to highlight the people that knew about that, and also highlight the people that were in the industry at the time, all the different, choreographers, Lorianne Gibson, Miss Debbie Allen, Alvin Ailey dancers. Like, we spoke to different people and basically asked them how you did it, how you got to where you were, and how do you translate that and transfer that and pass that down to the next generation. So we've been doing that for 15 years with the magazine. So we've talked to everybody who's anybody, from Frank Gatson, who discovered Beyonce, like I said, Miss Debbie Allen. Like, we've worked with her on 3 magazines. So it's so much, and it's so much information. And like you said, the key thing that you said was that, because my mentor said the same thing about purpose, because I wanted to get it so fast. What's my purpose? What's my purpose? He's like, Anthony, he said, it's right underneath your nose, and he said it's probably something you need to work on yourself. And so once I got it, I understood it. And then once I understood it, everything that I applied myself to, I applied it within the purpose and the moral compass that my mentor Shakalak, that he gave me. And so when it came to the magazine, he was like, Anthony, you have to become the magazine. Yeah, it's a product, but you yourself have to become the magazine. You yourself have to be self-empowered first. And that's what all those interviews did with all those different great, amazing people. They were pouring into me. It was like, oh my God. And I was sponging it up. At first, I'm thinking that we're just getting this information and putting it in a product so people could read. But it took me a minute to realize, like, well, Anthony, you're getting the first-hand account before everybody, me and my dad. So it was like, wow, look at all this. Look at the universe giving me all these years and all these history worth of information. And it's just like, man, I have so much to give now because of that. So I'm super grateful for that. And I'm super grateful for everybody that poured into the concept of the magazine. We've interviewed tons of people. So it's like, we call them scrolls. It's like scrolls for days of people's journeys. Some journeys are similar, some journeys are different, but everybody that contributed they're contributing to the next generation of dancers having the information and having the tools that they need to become successful individuals, whether they're in the industry, commercial industry or not, or you're independent like myself. That's the thing. Doesn't matter. You can chase whatever you want to chase, but you can always be successful in any sector. My mentor always told me there's always more than one way to win. And as long as dancers, professional dancers know that, you won't be tied down to the hamster wheel of, oh, audition, no callback, audition, no callback. It's like, no, there's so much more to dance. There's so much more to you than that. So that's, in a nutshell, that's what the magazine embodies. Like, it embodies all of that energy and those stories and the people that lived it. And me and my father were just the vessel that the universe chose for us to make that magazine. So um whenever somebody is ready for that type of information, it's there. Or if they want to come to me or come to my father to have a discussion, we have so much to pour into them because so many people poured into us.
That's amazing. So is it still available? Are you still
Yes, it is.
okay?
DanceMogul.com. Yep. Tons of 15 years worth of interviews. And then we have the actual magazines that are still available to, for the individuals that we did those on as well. But it's like, man, it's like probably thousands of interviews from people from all walks of life, all ages. That's the thing. We didn't put any limitations on it. We talked to the regular average up and coming dancer all the way to, the established, legends like Miss Debbie Allen. So it's just, you're going to get a wide range, and from that wide range you could be like, oh, maybe I can try this and go this way and go that way and go. But what one thing you are going to see is that everybody points out the dead ends. So my thing is, if somebody telling me not to go that way, I don't need to be, a hard head and be like, well, no, I'm gonna go figure it out. Like, no, just go the other way, go this way, because that's what they're telling. If three or four people have telling you they went that way and there's nothing down there, there's nothing down there.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's good. We need to have that. Wow. So when are you going to write your book? Are you going to write a book?
My mentor, he said that too. Yeah, eventually, like you said, like when I think when that presents itself, I will do that because I do have so much to give in that way. Um, when I get the time to do that, I guess that'll come around to do it. Of course, we know how to do that. We know how to publish. We know how to produce. I think it's just when everything is about the universal timing. It's not my timing, so I'm not just gonna put out a book just because I feel that I've mastered anything. But that's because that's not the case. Is when I feel, when I've learned. You know how when your sponge is full and you got to wring it out.
Mhm.
I'm assuming that's what the universe is waiting for. So I'm clearly still learning lessons every single day. And when I feel that I can't hold it no more, or the universe says, "All right, Anthony, time to wring it out," it'll be wrung out. But yes, that's definitely on the table. Eventually, it's just a matter of making it make sense.
Well, we'll look forward to that.
Thank you so
So,
much.
in closing, is there anything else that you would like to say to encourage people to, you know, find their purpose, go out and be encouraged, to bring hope? Anything else you want to say in conclusion?
Listen to the universe. Listen to everybody, even the people that you don't want to hear from. Even the people that say things to you a certain way, because what people don't recognize is that we're all connected to the universe, and the universe talks to us every single day through people. It's like, how else does it get your attention? You understand what I'm saying? Like, the universe is made in our favor. Like, it's conspired for us to win. It was made for us to be here. It was made for us to be, harmonious and successful. It's just we're not, because we go against the grain. We want to do what we want to do all the time because we think that, we know everything. And it's like, yeah, we do know some things, but we don't know it all. So like you said earlier, listen to everybody. Listen to the birds, listen to that person that has a loud voice, listen to the trees, listen to the squirrels. They're telling you something. Everything is telling you something. Every single thing. I remember back when this might have over 10 years ago, when they had that big tsunami in Japan, and they were saying, like, days before the tsunami, all the animals were retreating into the hills. Well, if you haven't seen something like that in the past, 50 years, you might want to, they knew. You know why they knew? Because they listened. They listened to the earth. They listened to nature. They knew. They knew to go up high. So, that's what I would say to anybody. Just listen. And then listen doesn't mean always apply everything. Everything that everybody says doesn't always apply to you. You take what applies and you add it to yourself, and you act upon the knowledge that you do have and the wisdom, in hopes that you start making the connections that you need for your life to better yourself and helping others. Once you know it works for you, then you know that it can potentially work for other people.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, this has been such a pleasure, really, to sit down and talk with you. We'll have to do it again.
Yes, ma'am, anytime.
Keep on doing that. Great. We're just keep on being you. That's what I tell people. Just be
Thank
you,
you.
right? So
Thank you.
just, yeah, we'll put your information below in the description. Everybody, don't forget, again, like, subscribe, share, comment, and keep doing what you're doing. Do it well and love one another. So thank you, Anthony. We
Yeah.
will talk again. All right,
Yes, ma'am, thank you
everybody.
so much.
Ciao.